Leicester City versus West Ham, the final game of a very long, tough season for West Ham. Yes, we're in the Europa Conference League final. That is amazing. It could really turn the season into something amazing for everyone involved with the club. But there's no mistake. This has been a really long Premier League season. The World Cup didn't help either. Let's be honest. That has really dragged it. But I don't know about you, mate. I'm quite looking forward to a bit of a summer breather from football, I could be honest, and recharge our batteries, because it has felt like a slog, isn't it, this one? It's gone for a long time.
Yeah, it almost feels like the World Cup never happened, to be honest, now that this season's sort of coming to an end. But you're right, it has been a very, very long season. And I don't know, would it have been as long a season as it's been if West Ham were involved in a European sort of race? Well, I don't know, but I think a lot of clubs feel like this season is just dragged on forever. It almost feels like 2 seasons, to be honest with you. It feels like the first half of the season was one, they did a World Cup, and then second half of the season was the other. But yeah, it'd be good to get a fresh start, because I think pretty much before the World Cup, I was ready just to see the end of this season, see the back of it.
Yeah.
And as much as we've had some good moments, it'd be good to see the back of it. But I'm sure Leicester fans will be even more hopeful that the season will be ending, obviously, with them potentially getting relegated on the final day. I know that they basically need to win against us to have any sort of chance in staying up.
Well, yeah, I mean, mate, what a lovely thing for us. Eh? You know, we've had only the last 2 games of the season, we've been mathematically safe, so we can actually go into this final game with nothing really to play for. We've got, you know, which is a lovely feeling, and obviously we know the feelings. We've been there with Leicester having to win in our last game of the season. We know the horrible strain that is. Talk about Leicester first. Let's talk about that club. So, very strange season for them. Totally unexpected. I don't think many people expect them to get relegated. I don't think they were going to be great, but you know, they've had a lot of issues with that club recently. It appears that I think that the COVID, the pandemic, really their finances badly. That their ownership is based on travel, Malaysia, I believe. That they're involved in the travel industry out there, so it's hampered them massively, and it's reflected in their transfer business. I mean, pretty shocking actually when you look at their business.
Well, I think the sacking of Brendan Rodgers was probably warranted, but I think Leicester had the same issue we did, which was, you know, if you sack your manager, who are you going to get in that's actually going to be better? Because I think a lot of Leicester fans would have taken David Moyes as manager, and a lot of West Ham fans probably would have taken Brendan Rodgers as manager. So it's that sort of like, that sort of straight swap. But to have got Dean Smith in instead, I think for a club that is so good at recruitment normally, so good at buying, they've got rid of Fofana for 70 million. They got rid of Schmeichel, who's a really big presence in the dressing room. They didn't really reinvest in anybody else. They signed Wet Foos, or whatever his name is, Wet Phase, I don't know what his name is. He's like Soyuncu 2.0 with a terrible haircut, and he's absolutely awful, mate. I've literally no idea why they thought he would come in and replace Fofana, but there you go. And they also got Danny Ward in and Iverson, who and both have been, Danny Ward has literally. It reminds me of the season when Roberto was in goal and he just dragged us down and down and down. He really gives you those sort of vibes. But when you look at the kind of players they've got in that dressing room, you've got Iheanacho, Harvey Barnes, Maddison, Tielemans. Like, it's not too long ago this was a European side. Indeed, this is not. It's not a side that's all too different, but I just think their recruitment's been really bad. They probably should have got rid of Brendan Rodgers, but again, who would you have got him in for? It was just too risky for them. So I do get why they stuck with him, and also they probably just thought money-wise they didn't really know who to get in for what sort of money and whether to pay off his package or not. So I do really worry for Leicester at the moment, and if they do go down, it might be a few seasons before we see them come back up again. But I hope not, because since their introduction back to the Premier League, they become like a really big side, an entertaining side to watch. Got a little bit of a soft spot for Leicester, but I'm not too convinced they're going to stay up. I think realistically they're probably dead and buried. Unfortunately, it's just too big a mountain to climb on the last day of the season. I don't see Everton losing to Bournemouth. So unfortunately, I see them going down.
I'm with you on it, mate. I think it's been a magical time for Leicester. The last decade for their club has been something that I don't think any Leicester fan ever dreamt of, really. They've won the Premier League, which was probably the biggest sporting achievement probably one of the best ever in not only just in that, in football, but probably across all sports. It's really one of the best things we've ever seen. Which was, and I'm actually grateful for that as a football fan. You look back and think that was quite a magical season to see a team like that go and win it. They won the FA Cup a couple of years ago. They've been really successful, very, very successful. I think that financially they've been really hampered with this COVID situation. I think it's really knocked the club. But I actually disagree with I think they should have kept Brendan Rodgers. I think he would have got them out of this in the end. It reminds me of a David Moyes, quite experienced guy. I think he would have done it. I don't think they needed to change the manager at that time. I think they should have just seen them to the end of the season, because at the end of the day, it looks like you say, mate. It looks like they're going to go down. Although I'm not overly convinced on the Bournemouth Everton game. I actually think Bournemouth could get something against Everton. I've not been impressed with Everton at all of late. I think they've been really poor. Apart from the Brighton performance, overall they've been really, really poor. But yeah, Leicester, I do feel for them. And like you say, I do fear that if they go down, it's going to be quite a big rebuild there, because there's a lot of players that are going to leave. They're going to be in financial difficulties at that club. I mean, I think you're estimated to lose between 50 to 70% revenue when you get relegated. I know you get parachute payments, but that still doesn't quite cushion the blow. I think you still lose. You're still down by about 30-40% revenue. That's a lot. Also, ticket sales go down. Everything goes down. The sponsorships drop. It's quite significant. So I think they're in trouble. I think financially they're in trouble. I think, like you say, I think it's going to be quite a big rebuild. I'll be surprised to see them straight back up. But who knows? I hope so, because I do like Leicester, like you, mate. On to West Ham. Let's talk about West Ham United, mate. The final Premier League game of the season. Let's be honest, all eyes are on Prague. This is really a nothing game for us. We don't. To be honest, I'm not really that bothered about it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm going to the game, which I'm looking forward to, but I'm also feeling like I don't really mind. A part of me actually doesn't mind to see Leicester win, because it might actually mean that they topple Everton. Do you know what I mean? It's a really strange game because it just doesn't really mean a lot. I think West Ham are just being a party atmosphere. Really, it's just going to be a bit of a laugh. But obviously, it is still a football game, mate, and we got to bear that in mind. You're David Moyes. You're going to set up your team. Are you going to be putting your strongest team out? You're going to go for it, finish on a strong? Because don't forget, we want to keep the momentum going ahead of the final. The last thing we want to do is get hammered, and suddenly our nerves are kicking and think, "Oh, that was not good for our morale." Where are you sitting, mate? What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not risking Kurt Zouma for starters. Probably rest Creswell. Whoever's going to start in the final right back wise, rest them. I mean, to be honest, Declan Rice could probably play another 17 games of the season. So, I mean, unless something horrendous happens and he ends up picking up an injury in the Leicester game, I don't think it's too poor to get him to start, carry on his momentum. Same with Jarrod Bowen. I don't think he's too much of an injury risk, so I'd play him as well. Fornals deserves to start. I'd rest Paqueta. I'd rest Ben Rama. I'd rest Antonio if he's going to start in the final. Probably rest again as well. So probably go like Ogbonna and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a couple of youngsters. I mean, I know we get a lot of stick for that sort of thing, but Manchester City rolled out the youngsters the other day. Cole Palmer, he started, and they didn't get any stick for it. So I
don't like all that argument of this whole. Well, it's the integrity of the league. You've got to put your best team out to win every game. West Ham are not responsible for Everton's plight. Everton have played 37 games this season. They've got 31 points or whatever it is. So, 33 points. So it's not our fault. You can't then go to West Ham, well, you put your best team out because we need you to win and it's not fair and all that. No, you've had enough opportunity this season to get yourself out of the problem. If West Ham have got a cup final in mind, I really couldn't care less about all that. Like you say, I don't get me wrong. I think David Moyes, I think even if we go for a second string team, I don't think it's going to be weak. I think it'll be enough that can beat Leicester. I think Leicester are really poor at the moment. I mean, I know they got a draw against Newcastle, but my God, it was shocking. They just completely defended the whole game. And I can't believe they kept a clean sheet. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of get the feeling that Dean Smith and John Terry have said, right, there's our fixtures left. We've got Newcastle away. Then we've got West Ham at home. Let's get a point. Let's get a point against Newcastle. Let's get a point against Newcastle. Get something, give us a chance, and let's go all out and beat West Ham. Because West Ham aren't going to be up for this game, really. When our players are not going to be given everything, they're not going to be flying into challenges and stuff. I think that's how I think it's going to be. So, but yeah, totally agree with you, mate. I think if he puts out some under-18s, I'll be no problem with that at all. I think it's not our responsibility to be helping other teams out. It's not. We shouldn't be worried about that. And also, you've got a fully fit squad to pick from, apart from Skamaka, pretty much. Bearing in mind, mate, as well, there's a chance we catch Chelsea, which that'd be quite exciting. So there is something to play for a little bit, but that's pretty minor, really. Let's be honest, isn't it? This is my team. I'm going for Areola in goal. I don't think he'll play him. I think he'll go Fabianski, but I'm going for Areola. The reason I say that is because I want him match fit. I want him fresh. He's going to be in the final, no doubt. I would like him to be playing. It's unlikely he's going to get injured. Even if he did, you've got Fabianski. So I'd pick Areola for this. Soufal on the right, because I think it's between him and Kira that's going to be the right back. I think that's a question mark, that one for the final. And I quite like to see Soufal because he's been a bit missing for the last few weeks. So it'd be nice to get his fitness up. I agree with you in the defence central, mate. I've gone Ogbonna and Kira as my two. I want to rest Zuma and rest Gerd for the final. I've picked Creswell, actually, for the left back. I'm not fussed either way, but I picked Creswell. I think I'd play him. Again, just a bit of match sharpness, get him up ahead of the final. I've started Declan Rice. I've really been toying with this, whether I want to do that because it's a risk. I don't want to injure him. I think I do a lot of changes at half time. So maybe, but I think with Rice, I'd like to see us start, which is so much stronger with him in the team. And I do want to try and get a result. You know, I mean, still want to stand to give a good performance. So I'm starting Rice, playing alongside Downs. I'd rest Paqueta. 4-0 ahead of them because I think he was excellent against Leeds, and I think while he's playing well like this, keep him playing. Cornet on the right, rest Bowen. Benrahma on the left, and Danny Ings up front. That's my starting 11 for this game. Anyone that you think's a problem there, or you totally disagree with?
I would change Cornet for Benrahma and I put Bowen to start. That's probably the only thing I would change. Yeah, it's the only thing I would change. I think Benrahma fresh is probably better than Bowen fresh. I mean, unless you want to take into account that his twins have just been born and he might just want a tiny respite at home or something. I don't know. But no issues with that team at all, I don't think. But score-wise, mate, what are you going for? I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I just think both teams are going to be, they won't have enough quality, and we just won't be up enough for it to get the win. So for me, I feel like it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
I'm agreeing with you on the draw, mate. I'm going 2-2 on my prediction. I've got a feeling I just think we're going to score. Their defence is not very good. I mean, actually, don't say that. They did defend well against Newcastle, to be fair, but they've got to go all out and win this. And I think they'll just play into our hands. We're a counter-attack side. We'll just sit back and let them have the ball and just enjoy the day. The fans are going to be singing all game. Even if we're losing, I don't think fans are going to stop singing. I think we're going to have a good day, really. We've got nothing to play for now. It's all on them. And bearing in mind, I think actually Leicester are going to be more bothered about the Everton game than their own game in a way, in a sense. Like it's almost like 50-50. So I imagine it's going to be a lot of fans listening to radios and looking at their phones and spending their time very, very concerned about Everton. So if Everton go 1-0 down, that will filter down to the players that, oh my God, if we win this game, we survive. Or it goes the other way, Everton go 1-up. And then their heads are going to go because they're going to go, oh, we're going down. We're getting relegated anyway. I just think it's going to be a really strange day, really. And I'm just so grateful. Although, I'm sorry for Leicester fans. I'm just so grateful it's not us because we've been in these situations and it's just torture being at the game or, just panicking. So, yeah, I do think it's going to be a strange one for us. But I don't know. Like you say, I still think we'll have enough to get something out of the game. So, yeah, draw. But, yeah, mate, it's going to be an interesting end to this Premier League season.
Yep, all eyes on Prague.
Absolutely.